Hey guys, it's Dr. Brown with Kubo Math coming to you from Tarlac City, Philippines, and tonight it's Algebra 2, Complex Fractions. Don't run, it's just fractions on top of fractions. We know how to handle that, right? If you have A over, you know me, I'm a rules guy, A over B divided by C over D. You invert and multiply, so that's the same as D over C. There you have it. So that would be AD divided by B times C, which is BC. Nothing to it. You can do it. So let's make it happen here. Let's get after it. Okay, our first one, 2 over A divided by 3 over 4A squared. Well, we said we're going to invert and multiply, so we're going to take 4a squared over 3. We flipped this guy upside down, and now we're going to multiply these two. So 4 times 2a squared gives me 8a to the second power divided by 3 times a, which is 3a. Well, I can't do anything with the 8 over 3, but I can. You know the rule here, a to the m divided by a to the n equals a to the m minus n. Hey, so what do we, and it's even an a on top of that. So we have a to the 1, and we're subtracting it there, so 1a cancels. You could do this a different way. Well, let me get the answer here. We got 8. A over 3 is the final result here, but you could say I have 8 times A, which is A times itself 2 times, that's what A squared is, divided by 3 times A. Okay, that's what we have here. Well, A divided by A is 1, so now I have 8 over 3 times A. Okay, so if you forget the rule, there are other ways to make that happen. Okay, that's one down. What about this guy? Let me scoot him over here. B over 10 plus 1/2 divided by B squared over 25 minus 1. Whoa. I'll write that down correctly. Okay. Well, I always say when in doubt, factor, but in this case, first get a common denominator. Okay. You can see I have a 25, a 10, and a 2. Now I know, let's assume I had a common denominator. I'm going to flip that up and end up working with all of this. So eventually, for example, if I get a 25 down here and then flip it up, oh, now I have a 25 and a 10 and 2. I may as well just work with that, get a common denominator that's equivalent on this denominator and this denominator. So I can see I have a 10, 2, and a 25. Well, 2 will go into 10, but 2 won't go into 25. Neither will 10 go into 25, but 2 times 25 is 50. 10 will go into 50. So let me try that. Okay, so now I have something over 50 and something over 50 for the top. Okay, 10 will go into 50 5 times. So I'm going to multiply this side by 5 over 5. I multiplied it by 1. So it didn't change as far as the relationship goes. This one, 2 will go into 50 25 times. So now I'm going to multiply that one by 25 over 25. So what do I have up in this top fraction? 5 times b is 5b plus, and it's over 5 times 10, which is 50, plus 1 times 25, which is 25, over 2 times 25, which is 50. Okay, so good so far. This one, This will go into 52 times. So now I'll multiply that by 2 over 2, which is 1. So the relationship stays the same. Minus 1 will go into 50 how many times? Hey, 50. So 50 over 50. Now then, 2 times b squared is 2b squared minus 50 times 1, which is 50. And this is 2 times 25, which is 50. And then 1 times 50, which is 50. So now, that's my new complex fraction. So I'm going to flip this one up. And let's see, I've got 5b and a mosquito. 5b plus 25 over 50. Flip this one up, times 50 over 2b to the second power minus 50. This 50 and that 50 cancel. So what do I have now? I have 5b plus 25 over 2b to the second power minus 50. Okay. Let me factor a 5 out of this one up here. When in doubt, factor. Okay, so I can factor out 5 times b plus 5. So that's 5b plus 25. Okay, let me factor a 2 out of this one on the bottom. 2 times b to the second power minus 25. So that's 2b squared minus 50. Well, you'll notice this one is the difference between two squares. This would be b minus 5 times the parentheses of b plus 5. Oh, now we're getting there. Okay, that equals 5 over 2 times b minus 5 times b plus 5. And if you FOIL that, that's b squared plus 5b minus 5b, so the 5b's cancel, minus 25. So b squared minus 25. And times this 2 out here, okay? And this 5 is over b plus 5. Now then, this guy and this one cancel, so I'm left with 5 over 2b minus 5. That looks a lot different than where we started. But it was nothing more than getting a common denominator, inverting the complex fraction. Instead of dividing by that fraction, we multiplied by it and then reduced. So it's really just, don't freak out. Just back up from the problem and say, what do I need to do? Get a common denominator and factor. It's no more complicated than that. Now, some things you need to realize, when you see a negative, something minus something, you really need to look and see, is that the difference between two squares, b times b and 5 times 5? Ah, it is. So then you can factor that out. But that's why you work a lot of problems. If you'll practice, 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 spotting these things becomes your normal day. But why? Because you've been practicing. If you want to hit the free throws in basketball, how do you do that? Lay there and sleep or look at your phone? I don't think so. You get out on the court and you practice. That's how you get good. Practice. Okay, let's take a simple one here. 2 over x divided by 1 over 2x. Well, that seems kind of weeny compared to what we've been doing. 2 over x. I'll flip up 2x over 1. The x's cancel. I end up with 4 over 1, which is just 4. Nothing crazy about that one. But we've got some crazy ones coming. Okay. This one's not too bad. Let's see, 2 over 2d divided by 1 over d minus 1. Well, this is similar to the one we worked earlier. We just need to get a common denominator. D looks like a good one, okay? So let's just get a D for the top and a D for the bottom. So 2 will go into D. Well, you know, if I'm going to put this under D, I need to multiply it by D times D. So that gives me 2D over D. And I already have this minus 2 over D. Now then, this is 1 over D. This will go D over D. So I have 1 over D minus D over D. Okay, I'm going to flip this one up and multiply. This is times D over 1 minus D. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Well, these go away. So I have 2D minus 2 over 1 minus D. When in doubt, factor. I can factor a 2 out of that. It gives me D minus 1. So 2D minus 2 over 1 minus D. Oh no, this is, this is my kryptonite right here. Okay, I'm going to factor a negative 1 out of this. So I have 2 over D minus 1 and a negative 1, which gives me, change the signs of that, which would be D. The positive 1 goes to negative 1. I finally was able to do that. Okay, those cancel. And this equals negative, I'll just move the negative to the top. 2 over 1 is negative 2. Okay. Wow, they came a long way from that. Okay. Well, that's not so bad. Common denominator, invert, multiply, factor, and reduce. Not so bad. All right. X minus 49 over x divided by, oh, this one's a little different. X minus 9 plus 14 over x. It's not different in the process, just more of it. So what do I need to do? I need to get a common denominator here, get a common denominator there, invert, multiply, reduce, factor, go home. Okay, we can do it. Okay, so let's let the common denominator be x for the top and x for the bottom. Okay, I think my board is still a little bit sticky here tonight. Okay. All right, if I multiply x over x times this up here to get it over x, it becomes x times x is x squared over x minus 49 over x. Okay, now then, that's divided by this guy. Well, it's all going to be over x. So I need to multiply this by x over x and this 9 by x over x. 14's over x. So x times x is x to the second power minus 9x over x plus 14 over x. Invert and multiply. I'm just going to flip it up and then erase, but I'll have x divided by x to the second power minus 9x plus 14. All right, where did the eraser go? Okay, now then, x's go away. Now I have, oh, you'll notice this is the difference in two squares. This is x minus 7, x plus 7. You hear the rooster crowing in the background? It's, I don't know, 1:30 in the morning. I think the rooster is a imported rooster because its time its time scale is different. It shouldn't be crowing for another 4 or 5 hours. So I don't know what country that would be from, but nevertheless. Okay, so we have x minus 7, x plus 7 would be x squared minus 7x plus 7x. Those cancel, minus 49. Okay, x's here cancel, but oh, what about this guy? Well, when in doubt, do what? Factor. Okay, what's the factors of x squared? Hey, that's an easy one. X times x. What's the factors of 14? 14 times 1? But that doesn't add up to give me a negative 9. Hey, look at this. 7 and 2 have some promise. Let's see. I need the larger one. Well, they both need to be negative. Okay, negative 2 times negative 7 gives me a positive 14. Now multiply the diagonals. Negative 7 times x is negative 7x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Add those together, get a negative 9x. X times x is x squared. Negative 2 times negative 7 is positive 14. Wow. Okay. Now then, so this factors into x minus 7, way, look at that, x minus 7 times x minus 2. So these cancel. Make sure I didn't leave off anything. Okay, so I end up with x plus 7 divided by x minus 2. That's what that would reduce to. Common denominator, factor, well, common denominator, invert and multiply. We ended up, had the difference of 2 squares. So we factored that. When in doubt, factor, and then reduce. It's the same concept with every problem. I just added the rooster out there to make it more exciting. Okay. All right, so that was that one. Let's work this guy here. It's a little different. Oh, our pen is about to go. Doesn't seem like I can get through one session without the pen playing out, or the marker. Okay. 1 over 2x plus 1 over 3x divided by 1 over x squared. Okay, well, let's go with 6x. Now, since we have an x squared down here, once I flip this up, one of those x's will divide out. So let's try that. So I've got a 6x up top on the top fraction, and it's going to be divided by 1 over x squared. Alright, so, and we're saying 2x will go into 6x 3 times. So I'm going to multiply that by 1, which is 3 over 3. And that gives me 3 times 1, which is 3, divided by 6x. 3 times 2x, 6x. Plus 3x will go into 6x 2 times. So 2 over 2 would give me plus 2, and then 2 times 3x is 6x. So that gives me 5 over 6x. 3 plus 2 is 5. Okay, now I'm going to invert and multiply. So I have this times x to the second power over 1. So I end up with 5x to the second power divided by 6x. Okay, so we know that's 5 over 6, x to the second power minus 1. You know the rule, a to the m divided by a to the n equals a to the m minus n. So I have x to the second power minus x to the first power. And that equals x to the first power, which is just x. Okay, As we mentioned earlier, I have 5 times x divided by 6 times x. One of these goes away, so it gives me 5x over 6. So this is my answer. Rules, rules, rules. If you understand the rules, it makes things easy, or easier. Sometimes they get complex, I understand. Okay, so that is that one. I have one more for us. 5 minus 45 over x squared divided by 3 over x minus 1. Same concept. So we're going to get on the top fraction over x squared, on the bottom fraction get it over x. Okay, so if I'm going to put this over x squared, I have to multiply this one by x squared over x squared. So that gives me 5x squared over x squared minus 45. Okay, now this one, I'm going to put this over x. So I need to multiply this side by x over x. So I have 3 over x minus x over x. So x times 1 is x. Okay, flip this guy up and multiply x over 3 minus x. Okay, get that out of the way. Now I can see, when in doubt, factor. Of course, if you want, right now we can get rid of one of these x's here. So that x goes away and it leaves me with 1 down there. Okay. Now I can factor out a 5. That gives me x squared minus 9. Over x times 3x, or 3 minus x. All right, well, what is x squared minus 9? It's the difference between two squares. Okay, we know how to do that. That's 5 times x minus 3, x plus 3, over x times 3 minus x. Oh, here's my kryptonite down here again. I need to factor a -1 out of that. Okay, so now I have 5 times x minus 3 times x plus 3. I'm going to factor out a negative, put that with that x right here. So that means everything in this sign, in this parentheses, changes sign. So that's going to be a positive x minus 3. X minus 3. Whoa, baby. So now we end up with 5 times x plus 3 over a negative x. I'll just put the negative out here. There we have it. That was factoring of complex fractions. So what did we do? We have a fraction divided by a fraction, which in reality you just invert and multiply. But in some cases we had to get common denominators where we then could invert and multiply and reduce. Some terms would cancel. Then we factored sometimes, so maybe we had the difference between two squares as we had here. So we would factor that and then end up reducing. Now, I had to work with my kryptonite here, factoring the -1 out. Okay, everybody has their kryptonite. That seems to be mine for some reason. I have a few others too, by the way. Okay, guys, why are we doing this? Because together we're going to build a better tomorrow, and we're going to do that through math. Practice, 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 okay? What I would encourage you to do is when we put one of these problems up, pause the video. Pause it and try to work that problem. See where you know, and then turn the video back on and see if you got the same answer, and then go to the next one. And challenge yourself this way, and utilize this as a tool for explanation for maybe if you get stumped in the problem. And so use it as a tool to get better so that we can build that better tomorrow through math, okay? All right, that's all for now, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.